Hello there, I am Johnny from Green Herb Gaming. In this live stream, I will be discussing my issues with the LGBTQ plus movement. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the live stream. A big shout out to Prochronics Vlogz, Chad Middleton, Aidan Denston, Milkman the Gamer, Damien and Alan Sewell, and Animation Time. Please check out their content and subscribe to those lovely people. I have absolutely no issue with lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transsexuals, or queers, or any other sexuality. I am not homophobic. I do not have an issue with LGBTQ plus people. However, I do have an issue with the LGBTQ plus movement. There used to be a time where LGBTQ plus people were extremely discriminated against. In fact, it was in some countries, and I think to this day in some countries, it was illegal to be LGBTQ plus. There was a time where if you were LGBTQ plus, you could not get a job, you could not marry, and you didn't really have a whole lot of rights. So around that time, the LGBTQ plus movement was established. And the movement fought for the rights of LGBTQ plus people. So they would organize marches, protests, public talks, and all of that kind of stuff. Just really standing up for LGBTQ plus people and provide for them support groups, places they could go to discuss their feelings, discuss their sexuality, which I'm in favor of. I'm all for that. I feel like if you are growing up, like if you're like a young teenager growing up, you're not quite sure about your sexuality. You think you might be lesbian, gay, bi, transsexual, queer. I feel like it's essential that you have support. I feel it's essential that you have somebody you can talk to discuss your sexuality, discuss your feelings. And I strongly feel like you should have equality. You should have the same rights as somebody who's straight. Of course, I completely agree on that. And so again, that like the reason the LGBTQ plus movement was established was to achieve that, was to give support to LGBTQ plus people and to fight for their rights. So I would be in complete favor of the reasons why the LGBTQ plus movement was established. But looking at the LGBTQ plus movement in 2019, I have a lot of issues with them. Because in 2019, if you are LGBTQ plus, you have exactly the same rights as a straight person. Now, for the remainder of the video, I'm going to be focusing primarily on Ireland. I'm not going to speak for any other country. I'm only going to speak about the country that I live in, Ireland. In Ireland, you can marry if you are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer. And if anybody is calling me out with the queer word, it's actually in the LGBT. It's what the Q stands for in LGBTQ plus. The Q stands for queer. So if you hear me saying the word queer and you're like, Johnny, you're homophobic, just take that up with the LGBTQ plus movement, because they're the ones who are using that term. Just want to make that clear. So yeah, in 2019, if you are LGBTQ plus, you can marry, you can get a job, you have the same rights, and you are equal to anybody else. So I feel like the LGBTQ plus movement have achieved what they wanted to achieve, and I think it's time to call it a day. Let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say. If my next door neighbour was facing eviction by their landlord, and if there was corruption involved, if the landlord was breaking the law and forcing my neighbour to vacate the premises, if I got together a group of people to fight for their rights and support my neighbour, and in the end I achieved my goal and the landlord was brought to justice, and my neighbour got to remain in their premises and case closed, then I have achieved what I wanted to do, and I move on with the rest of my life. I feel like the LGBTQ plus movement have their goal, and I feel like it's now evolved into something a lot more OTT, over the top. It's now become some sort of a brand. When I say a brand, I mean like it's become like McDonald's, it's become Nike, it's become Nintendo, it's become, it has become a brand. This cool, popular, flashy, trendy brand. And I feel like they're not fighting for the rights of LGBTQ plus anymore. They're selling people sexualities. And by waving that rainbow flag everywhere and anywhere, it's like they're selling lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer, choose. And that's the issue as well. I feel like they're telling people that they're almost telling people that you can choose your sexuality. You can't choose your sexuality. You're born with your sexuality, and that is science. You do not choose your sexuality. Yet the LGBTQ plus movement in 2019 seems to think that it's okay to send out this message that you can choose your sexuality, which is complete bullshit. This flag is everywhere now. It is literally everywhere. Last month, June was Pride Month. Every business under the moon, changed their company picture to the LGBTQ plus colours. I'm sorry, but if I want to shop at Argos, I'm not really interested in my sexuality. I'm not really interested in your sexuality. I'm not interested in their sexuality. I think I just want to go online and shop. But they feel the need to say, like, here's the thing, we support lesbian, gay, bi, trans and queer. Of course you do. You've always supported them. You've always supported them. You don't need to state the obvious. Like in Ireland, we are so friendly. We are so welcoming. We don't care what your sexuality is. We will welcome you and we will accept you. So again, it's not about fighting for the rights of LGBTQ plus and fighting for equality and providing support. It's no longer about that now. It's become this flashy, cool, trendy brand. You know, and this brand is selling you sexualities like products. Oh, have you tried lesbian? Have you tried gay? Have you tried bi? Have you tried trans? Have you tried queer? Maybe you're confused about your sexuality. Why don't you try them out? And that's what they're doing. And more sinisterly, they're doing that, actually, this movement is doing that by going into your children's primary schools and teaching them about LGBTQ plus and telling them that it's okay to be confused about your sexuality at the age of like 7 or 8. I'm sorry, but more 7 and 8-year-olds in Ireland are more confused about how do I shoot this guy in Fortnite? How do I get this skin? I'm pretty sure that's what goes through the head of more 7 and 8-year-olds. And particularly, like, when they go to school, they're there to get an education. They're not there to discuss their sexuality. They're there to learn maths, English, Irish, history, etc. Your children are not in school to be taught about their sexuality. It's the parents' responsibility to teach their children about sexuality. Are you going to let the state, which are intimidated by this LGBTQ plus movement, to teach your kids about sexuality, to teach them that it's okay to be confused about your sexuality? Sure, there's a case there recently where there's a school in Ireland that's teaching kids, telling kids that it's telling boys it's okay to wear skirts because it's okay to be confused about your sexuality. Okay, maybe when that kid gets to the age of 17 and is fully aware of their sexuality and is fully aware of what they want to do, maybe that 17-year-old can say, okay, I'm transsexual, I want to wear a skirt. But you don't tell a 7 or 8-year-old boy, a child, that it's okay to be confused about their sexuality. They can't even spell sexuality. Why would they be confused about it? They're not thinking about their sexuality. They're not thinking about wearing a skirt. It's completely ridiculous. It's completely bullshit. And it's why it's no longer about of LGBTQ plus people. It's about selling these sexualities as brands. Selling these sexualities as products. It's a brand, and they're selling these sexualities as products. And going into primary schools and talking to young children about these sexualities is absolutely bullshit. Let them get to the age where they can discuss that. Why is it that if an adult, like, here's the thing about it, right? Here's the thing about it. Here's where I call hypocrisy. Here's where I call complete hypocrisy, right? What if I was a paedophile? What if I was having a relationship with a child? What's one of the things that would be said? That child can't make a conscious decision. That child can't consent. That child is not old enough to know what they want. That's what would be said, wouldn't it? Yet, the LGBTQ plus movement, along with this state, is saying that it's okay for a 7 or 8-year-old child to discuss their sexuality. that it's okay to engage in transsexual behavior. Do you see where I'm going there? That's hypocrisy 101 right there. That is a huge contradiction. Completely, 100%. It's a contradiction. Like, if this state and the justice system can come out and say, this minor does not have the mental capacity to consent to a relationship with an adult, then how can they say that a 7 or 8 year old is capable of discussing their sexuality, is capable of, should be wearing a skirt to school? That's hypocrisy, and that's a contradiction. So that's just one of the the LGBTQ plus movement, going into your primary schools and teaching your children about LGBTQ plus is just an example of just how this movement has evolved and gone way OTT. Absolutely, it's insane. Everywhere you go, you see this flag. Everywhere. Again, as I said, you could be just browsing a website. You could be on like GameStop's Facebook page. You could be on like a video game company's Facebook page. You could be on like Bethesda's page, and you see these colors. Like, what happens when you see a brand long enough? Like, what happens when a company, a brand is continually showing its logo over and over and over and over again? What happens? Eventually people start getting curious. What is this brand? And that's almost like what it's doing. Again, it goes back to what I was saying. They're selling sexualities as products. Sexualities are not product. You don't choose them. You don't buy them. You don't purchase them. Okay, you're born with it. They're like these LGBTQ plus movement is disagreeing with science, and they're the very same people who are all for science, because a lot of these LGBTQ plus activists, I would argue a lot of them are atheists, because how could they possibly have faith when faith is actually against LGBTQ? So I doubt very much that the majority of LGBTQ plus activists in this movement are actually religious. So I would presume that they're all about science. They look to science for everything. Well, like, science will tell you that you were born with your sexuality. You don't choose it. You don't just wake up on a Monday and say, well, today now I'm feeling a bit lesbian. And Tuesday you're like, well, I'm feeling transsexual. And then Wednesday you're like, yeah, I'm actually feeling bisexual now. And then Thursday, oh, I'm actually full on gay. And then Friday you're dressing yourself up as a rainbow and you're shouting, I'm queer. Like, it doesn't work like that. You're born with your sexuality. It's in your genes from the second you are born. Okay? But here's the thing. You don't know about that until really well after you hit puberty. Like, you're by the time like I'm not a scientist, I'm not a fucking biologist, right? Or a doctor. But really, like, by the time you reach like 17, that's the age where you know full on like who you are sexually. That's the age. So like, yeah, you are born with your sexuality, but you shouldn't be discussing your sexuality at the age of fucking 7 or 8. I mean, how far is this going to go? Like, I mean, are they going to teach kids about like mortgages at the age of fucking 9? Do you know what I mean? Like, are they going to fucking teach them like about like, how to apply for jobs when they're 10? I mean, how far is this going to go? I mean, let a child be a child. Let a kid live their fucking life, for God's sake. It's hard enough for them as it fucking is. Like, they don't need their childhood taken away from them. You know, by all of this crazy fucking, you know, bullshit, which is what it is. It's just complete bullshit, and it's crazy, and it needs to fucking stop. Okay, as I mentioned earlier in the video, LGBTQ plus people have equality and they have rights. I mean, and as I always say, like, I'm not denying the fact that LGBTQ plus people are bullied and harassed, but so are the travelling community, so are the migrant community. Everybody gets bullied for something, regardless of what it is. Like, I'm not denying that, like, but for all intents and purposes, like, I mean, if you are LGBTQ plus, you can get married, you can get a job, and you can live a normal life. Yes, you'll be bullied, yes, you'll be harassed, but you do have rights and you do have equality. You can go to the Gardaí. I mean, for God's sake, they were marching themselves in Dublin's gay parade. You can go to the Gardaí, you can report, I have been harassed, I have been assaulted, as a hate crime. Like, it's going to happen. Like if someone doesn't like you, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it's going to be. They're not going to magically start liking you because of a movement. Good morning to you, Dad, and welcome to the live stream. Good to have you as always. I'm not going to discuss what I've said, you know, up until this point. Again, as I always say, if you want to rewind the live stream, you're welcome to do that, or you're welcome to watch the video at your own convenience. So I'm talking here now about, like, it's obvious that LGBTQ plus people will be bullied and will be harassed, but the reality is that's not going to go away. But the reality also is that their rights have been fought for and they've been won. They've got rights and they have equality. Like, there used to be a time where being LGBTQ plus could practically put you into prison. You know, and there was a time where in Ireland you could not get married. That's all been fixed now. You can get married, you can adopt kids, you can work, you can live in the community as an LGBTQ plus individual. So my point is that they have their rights and they have their equality. Are they going to be harassed? Are they going to be bullied? Of course they are. Is it right? No. That's why you have the Gardaí, the police force. And again, the Gardaí were marching themselves in the Dublin Gay Parade, so I don't think they're going to have a problem with, you know, reporting a crime. It's a crime. It's the same as any other crime. If you've been a victim of a crime, you report that crime. It's that simple. But this movement has evolved from fighting for the rights of LGBTQ plus, and it's turned into this crazy, over-the-top brand that is selling people sexualities. That's what it is. At the end of the day, that is what it is. I mean, it's okay. Like, I mean, if you're straight, it's okay to be straight. You don't have to say, well, maybe I'm confused about my sexuality. Maybe I'll try out being lesbian for a day. Which makes no sense, but you know what I mean. Or I'll try being gay for a day, or I'll try being bi for a day, or I'll try being transsexual for a day, or I'll try being queer for a day. It's not like that. Like, if you're straight, be proud of that. Make your own flag. Make your own colours, make your own parade. If you're straight, be proud of being straight. Like, you don't have to be intimidated by this giant rainbow flag everywhere you go and start questioning your sexuality, because that's, in my opinion, that's what this movement is trying to do. It's trying to say, well, maybe you're not straight. Maybe you're not straight. Maybe you're actually bi. Maybe you're transsexual. Maybe you're gay. Maybe you're queer. Try it out. Come on, try your products out. You haven't experienced these products before. Try out our products. That's what I see. I see a business. I see a brand selling sexualities. And, you know, and if you think about it, I mentioned all those companies who use the LGBTQ plus colours. It's almost like, oh well, we can make money out of this now. You know, so many people support this movement, so maybe I'll change my profile picture to the rainbow colours, the colours of the LGBTQ+. Maybe my business will get a lot more profit now. See, that's an interesting theory, isn't it? So again, it's turned into, a lot of people have a lot of theories about it, a lot of sinister theories about it, and look, I'm still not going to discuss that. Maybe that's for another video. But one thing I definitely see though is I see this brand power, and that's my theory. Like this brand power. But it is quite sinister though. It is quite sinister though when you do, you know, start seeing this movement, the LGBTQ+ movement, going into primary schools and teaching your kids, you know, your kids. You want to protect your kids. You want to bash the Catholic Church for not protecting kids. You want to protect your kids, and listen to what I have to fucking say. You want to protect you care so much about your kids. You want to know where your kids are. You want to know who your kids are hanging out with. And fucking listen to what I'm saying to you. You are allowing your kids to go into a primary school you're allowing them to be taught by the LGBTQ+ movement. The LGBTQ+ movement is intimidating the state, intimidating the education system, intimidating teachers and principals to teach your young children about their sexualities. A 7 or 8 year old child can't even spell the word sexuality, and they sure as fuck don't need to be talking about their sexuality. You want to protect your kids? They maybe need to fucking realise what kind of school you're allowing your children to be in. It's absolute bullshit. The LGBTQ+ movement has no place in the education system. How about educating kids to respect one another? How about that? I mean, they don't need to be taught about sexuality at that age. It's complete bullshit. Like, well, maybe you know, it's okay to be gay. It is okay to be gay. Of course it is. But like, you don't tell that to an 8-year-old child. It's bullshit. And you know, if they can't see it, man, I feel sorry for you. I genuinely feel sorry for, you know, somebody who just can't see this. It's absolute fucking, it's bullshit. But it's sickening though when it comes to them coming into the education system. And it isn't just the education system. I mean, it's political as well. It's become a political movement. It's politics now. It really is. That's how far this has gotten now. Like, you know, it's political now to be LGBTQ. I mean, I can't even watch a fucking, like, even outside of it's in the entertainment industry as well. I mean, I can't even watch the video game awards without some guy standing on stage saying how happy he is to be a queer furry. And I'm like, that's nice, but I came to watch the video game awards. I didn't sit here to watch you discuss your sexuality. You know, it's just fucked. So that's my issue. We should have a crown. We should have our own flag. No, we shouldn't have our own flag, actually. Dad, we shouldn't. There shouldn't be any flag. The only flag that we need in this country is the Irish flag, the tricolours. How many young kids proudly wear the tricolours? Huh? How many young kids in school actually are proud of their government? Do they even know their government? Do they even know who's running this country? Well, they're not running the country actually, but that's another story for another day. The only flag that we need is the Irish flag, the tricolours. That's the only flag we need. You know? Like, that flag needs to be flown, that flag needs to be, put up there. So no, I don't think we need a flag, because it's the opposite to equality. I spoke about this in the previous live stream. I'm not going to go into it again. But we don't need a flag. But it's the whole point of what I'm trying to say. Like, we don't need a flag. There shouldn't be a flag for straight people. There shouldn't be a flag for LGBTQ plus people. They don't need a flag. It's you are who you are. Live the rest of your life who you are. Be proud of who you are. But this mentality of like giant flags and rainbows and teaching kids about LGBTQ. The world fucking sickens me. And what sickens me more, and I'm going to give her another shout out actually, Gemma O'Doherty. She's a fucking legend, and I'll keep giving her shout outs because she's a fucking legend. One thing she made me aware of, something I never really thought much about, but like I used to say, like, this sickens me and that sickens me, this pisses me off, I used to say to myself, God, this world is so fucked up. But you know what's more fucked up? And you know what's more sickening? And what's more disturbing? Is the fact that so many fucking people bury their heads in the sand and do absolutely fuck all about it. And the hypocrisy is absolutely sickening. Sickening. Absolutely sickening. I heard a case there on a radio station in my hometown of Cork City, Red FM. It was a quite disturbing case actually. It was a young girl. She was 16. She was at the beach and she was approached by this man who she described as speaking a foreign language, but that doesn't really matter. But it's what she said. She was approached by a man, and a man started asking her strange questions that really a man shouldn't be asking a 16-year-old girl. Like, how old are you? Do you want to come into my car? Do you want to come back to my place? Really predatory stuff, really sickening stuff. And obviously, like, that really was very upsetting, and people were texting in saying how really disturbing that was and how upsetting that was. Why are you asking my child those questions? Well, why are you allowing your child, your 8 and 7-year-old child, half the age of this girl, why are you allowing your 7 and 8-year-old kids to be asked about their sexuality and to discuss their sexuality and to be told it's okay to wear a skirt? How is that okay? How does that magically become okay? Does that magically become okay because you're intimidated by a giant fucking rainbow? Is that it? Oh, so I can't talk about the LGBTQ plus movement. They'll call me a homophobic. Sickening. Like, what is the difference? Okay, obviously that case was a lot more extreme because it was an adult asking a child to go into their car and come back to home. I get that, it's a lot more extreme, but how is it really that different when you think about it? Because, if your 7 and 8-year-old child is sitting in a classroom and their teacher is talking about sexualities and all the different types of sexualities and all the different types of it even goes more extreme than that actually, because this now in particular is about sexual education. Like, they're actually lowering the age now of sexual education. Like, they're lowering the age of what age you need to be hearing about sexual education. They're lowering the age now, to like around that age. I think it's like 7 or 8. And they're really talking to 7 and 8-year-olds about like all the different types of sexual stimulations and stuff like that to a fucking 7 and 8-year-old child. So do you think, like, I mean, do parents think that it's you know, that there's no problem with my 7 and 8 year old sitting in class, you know, talking about their sexualities? Come on. And especially like when it comes to the LGBTQ plus movement, it's it's a lot of bullshit, to be honest. But yeah, what annoys me is the fact that I'll say this, and other people will say this, and a lot of people will speak out about it, and a lot of people will be a lot more confident than me, and they'll be able to articulate what I'm saying, or they will be able to articulate what they're saying a lot better than what I can. Trust me on that. And they'll have a lot of, you know, stuff to say, a lot of proof, a lot of evidence, a lot of theories, and basically what I'm saying is they're a lot better than me putting it together. You know, because people will just watch this video and they'll just say, oh, here's Johnny again rambling on, what's he talking about now, blah blah blah, he doesn't even know what he's saying, blah blah. And look, I get that, whatever. But there's people like Gemma Doherty and a lot of other people who will have issues about this, and they'll have, like, they will be spot on, like, you know what I mean. But what annoys me and what annoys people like her is the fact that nobody is doing a damn fucking thing about it. They're just burying their heads in the sand. You can present them with all the fucking proof, all the stuff, and they just won't challenge the narrative. Do you know, they won't challenge this entity. You know, they won't go up there and challenge this huge entity that is the LGBTQ plus community. They won't challenge it. They're afraid to challenge it. They'll call me homophobic. I mean, like, that's the biggest fear, because they will be called homophobic. If you have any opinion on the LGBTQ plus community that is slightly different to somebody else's, boom, you will be branded a homophobic. They would need to be a teenager to understand how can a child understand, and it's sick. It is sick, because at the end of the day, if a grown adult sat down with a child and said, you know what, we're going to have sexual relationship, that child's not going to have a clue what's going on, because that's what the state will tell you, that's what the law will tell you, and that's what the law is. So what's the difference between, like, that situation and you know, an adult teacher sitting down with a child talking about a sexuality? They're not old enough to talk about a sexuality. They're not old enough to understand about a sexuality. If they were old enough to talk about a sexuality, and if they were old enough to understand sexuality, then there wouldn't be an age rating. There wouldn't be age of consent. Age of consent wouldn't exist. Age of consent would not exist if young children were able to understand their sexualities and discuss their sexualities. That's one for you. I challenge anybody to challenge me on that. You know, I got a viewer popping in and popping out of this, like, you know. And like, here's the thing, like, whether you support me, whether you are against me, say something. Say something. If you're against me and you absolutely detest me, if you just cannot stand me, if you hate me, oh, that Johnny talks all this shit, have the balls to let me know then. If you support me, don't be afraid to support me. Because I know that I'm getting like a second viewer who just pops in and pops out all the time. It just kind of like hopes I go away. Well, I'm not going to go away. You know, I'm not going to go away. I said to everyone last night that I'm not going to stop this, and I'm not. And I know I'm going to ramble on a lot of the times. I know I'm not going to be spot on with everything I say a lot of the times, but I'm not going to stop what I'm saying. I have an issue with the LGBTQ plus movement. I'll say it again. I have an issue with the LGBTQ plus movement. I think what they stand for in 2019 is bullshit. I think they've completely abandoned their root cause, which was fighting for the rights of LGBTQ plus people and supporting them. They've moved away from that now, and they see themselves as a powerful brand, and they see sexuality as a product that they can sell. And they feel like they're the dominant. They feel like they are the dominant community. They feel like they're dominant now. They're completely like they're completely eradicating straight people. Okay, I don't care how crazy that sounds, but to me, it's like they're completely eradicating the concept of heterosexuality. Like the only sexuality that exists is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer. Anything else, and that's, you know what I mean. They're going into the schools and they're teaching, kids, pushing it down their throat about LGBTQ plus. I mean, for God's sake, like, why don't you bring in some fucking inspirational, speaker, who talks about like positivity? Why don't you educate the kids about like depression and anxiety and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Why don't you teach them about, values? I think it's evil. Evil is taking over people's way of thinking. Well, everything that's wrong is right, and everything that's right is wrong, and that's the reality of it, man. That is the reality of it right there. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. That is what's happening at the end of the day. It's sickening. I mean, every day I wake up and I just resent this world more and more. I do. I don't care how fucking deep that sounds. Okay, I just do. And I can just see. Oh, I can just see the hypocrisy. I can smell the stench of the hypocrisy, and the backwards way of thinking. Oh, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. This world, it disgusts me. On a huge fucking level, man. They're so, like, a lot of these, and they're just, these people, man. There's people who buy into this, the people who buy into this movement, people who just, why, Johnny? Why are you talking about the LGBTQ plus community like that? What's so wrong with them? I think they're cool. Like, I feel sorry for these people. I genuinely feel sorry for these people. They can't make a decision for themselves. They have to have something to tell them who they are and what they are. They have to have this big flag waving above them to say, well, maybe I'm actually not straight. Maybe it's cool to be gay. Oh God, it's sad. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. It's pathetic that you can't even just know. You can say that again. They just can't make a decision for themselves. Like, how about you just teach people to think for themselves? Let them think for themselves. I mean, I'm well aware that like your sexuality is such a huge thing. It's such a challenge. It's a tough time for anybody's life. I can understand that, but that's what you have parents for. That's what you have your parents for. You discuss that with your parents, and if you have good parents, then they will sit down with you and they will discuss that, and they'll say, look, if you're straight, that's cool. If you're bi, that's straight. If you're gay, that's straight. If you're lesbian, that's straight. Now that's what will happen in most families. But listen, like, no family is perfect. Like, if you feel like, oh yeah, but that's why we have to have this movement. No, no, it's not. It's not, because there's parents out there who beat their kids. There's parents out there who don't feed their kids. There's parents out there who neglect their kids, who lead their kids on their own, and all sorts of things. It's not just the fact that they don't support their kids with their sexuality. So don't be giving me that bullshit about, like, that's why we need the LGBTQ plus, Johnny. We have to fight for their rights. It's not about fighting for their rights anymore. It's complete bullshit. When a child gets to the age of puberty, when they get to that age, okay, when they're starting to realise who they are sexually, the only people they need to be talking about their sexuality to, and the only people that need to be talking to them about sexualities, are their parents. Like, it's dangerous that it's dangerous that this LGBTQ plus movement has become a brand now, and it's very dangerous that they're selling sexualities as brands, because what's going to happen, and it will happen, and it's probably happened already, is kids will take up these brands, or this brand, they'll take up these products and say, oh, you know, this looks cool, I'm going to try this. And it's just sickening, it's disturbing. You know, on a whole other level, it's disturbing. I mean, like, why does a 7-year-old child need to be even talking about the sexuality? Just why? Oh, but to get them ready, Johnny. I'm actually answering my own question, because I can hear the answers in my head from these ignorant, brainwashed, sheepish people. Okay? I can fucking hear the answers. So I'm answering their own fucking, you know what I mean? I'm like addressing their answers already. To get them ready. Again, like, I mean, how far do you want to take this? Like, do you want to get them ready for their first mortgage? Do you want to get them ready for their first job? I mean, for fuck's sake, being an adult is fucking hard enough as it is when you're an adult. You don't need adult responsibilities thrown at you at the age of fucking 7 years of age. Just let them be a kid. Give them the education that they need and that matters. Teach them how to fucking count. Teach them how to read. You know, teach them to get their fuck off their iPhones and tablets and computer screens 24/7. You know, teach them something beneficial. But I don't blame the true, a child can't think right, so can into all that sick shit. We don't send our children to school for that sick. Well, let me elaborate on what you're saying there. Okay, I know exactly what you're saying. If we don't send our children into primary schools to discuss sexuality, that is just not anything to do with education. Like, again, like, teach them something that actually matters. Teach them something that's actually beneficial. You know? Teach a child that maybe you should spend time with your parents on the weekend. Maybe you should, go for a hike or something like that, you know? Go outside in the fresh air. You know, that would be a lesson that would be beneficial to a 7 or 8 year old child. I mean, if people see, again, what irritates me is people can't see this. And it's, you know what? It's not even the fact. It's not even just that they can't see it, because there's also people who can see it, but they just don't care. It's just not something that bothers them. It's not the next episode of Love Island. It's not the next season of Fortnite. It's not the next match with Man United. It's not the next audition for X Factor. It's not their takeaway. It's not the music they're listening to. It's not how much money they have in the bank. You see, they don't care. They don't care. And that's the most sickening thing about it. It's bullying and paedophiles they need to know about. Bullies, yeah, stuff like, exactly. I mean, it's funny. Oh God, it's funny. It's funny. What do we always hear? Like, whenever we hear about, whenever we hear about, like, a paedophilia case, we hear about how the paedophile has groomed the child. You know, we hear about over time how they've manipulated this child, gotten into the head of this child to get this child to think a certain way and to feel a certain way. But what the fuck is the difference between that and the LGBTQ plus movement intimidating teachers to therefore you know, manipulate young children into thinking it's okay to wear a skirt. I mean, think about it. Good fucking Christ, like, think about it. Like, you're gonna have little kids, little boys going around wearing a fucking skirt. Is that not like the same thing as manipulating a child into thinking that it's okay to wear that? It's manipulation. It's the exact same thing. Look, I know sometimes I can't articulate my fucking words very well. Okay, I'm well aware of that. And again, as I said, a lot of people can say what I say a lot quicker, and they can get to the point, you know, a lot quicker, and they can really hit home their point. Look, sometimes I can't do that. Sometimes all these words are in my head, but they're all over the place, and I have to go and find those words and bring them all in. And by the time I bring them all in, you know, the stream ends up becoming like over and over long. I'm aware of that. I get that, and I regret that, and I'm working on that. You know, we all improve. I'm working on that. You know, I will get to a stage where I will have the full confidence to discuss these topics. I will get to a stage where I'll have the full knowledge to discuss these topics, and I will get to a stage where I will use what I've actually learned anyway. I've done a course in public speaking, so it's all there. I need to think about these videos before I do them. I need to think about what it is that I'm trying to say, who my audience is, you know, like, and all stuff like that, and the tone of my voice, and not talking too long, not talking too short, not talking too low, not talking too loud. Basically, put into practice what I've been taught, and to make that work. So yeah, I'm well aware that my videos do get a bit extended and get a bit all over the place, and I'm hopping between topics. I get that, and I will work on that, but I will not stop doing this. I will not stop speaking about things that should be spoken about, but other people don't want to talk about them. I will talk about them, like, you know. So we're 52 minutes into the live stream, approaching 53 minutes now into the live stream. So let me just, like, cause I don't know who could be watching this video like once it goes live. You know, I don't know. I mean, I've got a lot of great supporters. I've been told there, like, randomly, like, oh no, I've been told, oh, by the way, I watched your video about this, and I'm like, what? You actually watched it? I'm like, okay, cool. So it surprises me that people actually watch it. So I think people are going to watch the video. So if you've gotten to this stage of the video, like, and you're a bit kind of, maybe a little bit confused, what is my point? Am I homophobic? Am I against, you know, LGBTQ plus? What is the story? If you want to know the story, I'll tell you the story, and I'll wrap up with my story. You say what you think about it, and you get it across. Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you're being nice, but I don't agree with that though myself. I feel like I have a lot of work to do on that area. One of the things I really do is I repeat myself over and over again. It's weird. It's like once I say something, I feel like I didn't say it. I feel like I have to say it again, and I feel like people haven't heard it. So I'm saying it again, and I'm saying it again. So the biggest issue I have is I repeat myself far too much. So look, it's a very simple, like, my story is, that's not a story really, not a story. Or a message for that matter. What is it? Like, my issue, you know, as the title of this video says, like my issue with the LGBTQ plus movement. That is what this live stream is about, and that is all I wanted to discuss. I don't have an issue with LGBTQ plus people. Now, you may be thinking, but Johnny, you just said you have an issue with the LGBTQ plus movement, so how can you not have an issue with the LGBTQ plus people? Well, because there's a difference. There's a difference between lesbians, gays, bisexual, transsexual, and queers, and a movement. A movement is an organization with a belief system, with an agenda, you know, and that's what a movement is. The people are just like the people. Like you are who you are. A movement is a completely different thing. That's what's wrong about people that can't or won't say what's on their mind. Yeah, spot on there, Dad, and that is the problem. And that's what kind of, it's, you know, when I realise that, that's actually what gives me the motivation I need, because I realise that there are people who just cannot and won't say what's on their mind. They're too scared to say what's on their mind. They have to go along with a narrative. They have to fit in with what everyone else says. You know, like the conversation of Donald Trump comes up in a room full of 10 people, okay? And you're one of those 10 people. And you know well in your heart that 9 people are going to hate Donald Trump. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Honestly. You're going to join in. Oh, yeah, Donald Trump, yeah, he's like an Oompa Loompa. Look at the orange face on top of him, ha, ha, ha. God, look at that hairstyle, ha, ha, do the wall, ha, ha. Oh, God. You know, just to fit into that room, to be accepted. That's what you do. Let's face it. Don't deny that. That's what you're going to do. You're hardly going to turn around and say, well, I actually support Donald Trump's policies. I think that the economy in America has grown. I think that jobs have been created. I mean, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You're going to be fucking like shot down like a drone in Iran. People don't think for themselves. Exactly. People do not think for themselves anymore. They need people to tell them how to think. Oh God, that's sad. That's a different video for a different day. But then to get back to what I'm saying, so no, I don't have an issue with the people. I have an issue with the movement. I don't have an issue with LGBTQ plus people. I have an issue with the LGBT plus movement and what they stand for. There used to be a time where LGBTQ plus people did not have any rights. They had no equality, and they had an extremely, extremely difficult life. A lot of these people were actually arrested for engaging in their sexuality. Now that was extremely hard for these people. So they had people fighting for them, standing up for them, supporting them. And that was the LGBTQ plus movement. And they did amazing, extraordinary work in that field. They really went out to the streets and marched with LGBTQ plus people and fought for their rights. And long story short, they achieved what they wanted to achieve. And now the LGBTQ plus movement are just as much as part of the community as anybody else is. So my issue, so you might say like, well, how do you have an issue? You're supporting all of it. How where's your issue, Johnny? Where's your issue? Come on, Johnny. Where's your issue? Tell us your issue. Well, my issue is what they've turned into, what the movement has turned into. This movement has abandoned its root cause of fighting for rights and equality, because they've achieved that. They've done that. So they've moved on from that now, and they now see themselves as superior. They now see themselves as a superior movement, and their sexualities are the only sexualities that matter, and we should all be LGBTQ plus. That's what I feel. That's my opinion. I feel that's what the LGBTQ plus movement has turned into in today's world. Just have a look around you. Look at the amount of flags. You know, I mean, the OTT parades. You know, that is and it's all put on by this movement. Oh, here's an interesting thing. Oh, I'm gonna have to keep this for another video. I have a very interesting video coming up. Well, it could be tomorrow, whenever. The next video is going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. So here, the thing is, like, it's the movement who are organising this. It's the movement who are making these parades OTT. It's the movement who are, you know, putting these flags up. It's not people. It's not, you know, it's not Jimmy and fucking, you know, Jimmy and Lenny are making up names. It's not Jimmy and Lenny, you know, living down the road who are a gay married couple who are, you know, organising these events. It's the movement who are organising these events. And it's the movement who are going into our primary schools and intimidating, because they are intimidating, teachers and principals into putting the LGBTQ, you know, agenda into the curriculum, right beside learning maths. Hi kids, today we're going to learn about equations. We're going to learn about how rivers are created. We're going to learn about World War II. And we're also going to learn about being gay. I mean, come on, like, really? Fucking hell, like. It's my issue is the fact that it's become a brand. The movement has become a brand that are selling you sexualities now, and they see themselves as a dominant movement now, and they basically got, no pun intended, they've gotten cocky. They see themselves above everybody else now, you know, because they've been the victim for so long now. They feel like, you know, they don't want to be pushed around anymore now, so they want to push other people around, and that's genuinely what happens in cases like that anyway. So look, I have nothing else to add to this video. I will be improving my videos over time. I will be able to focus in on what I'm trying to say and repeat myself a lot less going forward. I will be able to achieve this. I know I can do it. I know I have people behind me, so I'm not going to give up. So yeah, I have been Johnny from Green Herb Gaming. I have said my piece. Thank you to those who watched, including my dad. I had a couple of other viewers who popped in and popped out. Obviously, just didn't want to, you know, get interactive. But you kind of, I'm sorry, but you kind of got to wonder why, though. You know, you kind of got to, why? Do you fear me? Is that what it is? Do I scare you? Do my words scare you? Do I intimidate you? Do you know that you don't have a leg to stand on to challenge me? Is that what it is? You just know that you can't challenge me. You know that I will absolutely destroy you. That's what it is. So you just join the stream, you're like, God, he's Johnny talking shit again, but if I leave a comment, I'm just going to be completely destroyed. You fucking will be destroyed. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the fucking thing. Boy, you will be destroyed. You cannot challenge me. Nobody can challenge me. I'm as cocky now as the LGBTQ plus fucking movement. But that's the thing, these haters. These haters. And a lot of them, more than likely, a lot of those people know me. See, they're like the four-faced liar in Shandon Bells. You know, they got four faces. One face is like, you know, one face is like supportive. The other face is, oh, they're just two-faced and four-faced motherfuckers, man. I'm surrounded by all of them. And that's good. I don't give a shit. I'll still be here. I'll still be here talking my piece. And you'll never have the balls to come onto the live chat and challenge me, because you know you'll be taken down. You know you will be taken down. So that is the end of this live stream. I will see you next time.